Good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you may be on this big blue planet we call home, and welcome to Drinks and Daves. We are the Daves. Hi, Dave.
Dave, you know what? I was reminded of something today.
And what is that?
There's a special kind of frustration that comes with home repair. Only
Indeed.
with home repair. We're renting, and I got a text from my wife about water leaking from the ceiling in our bottom floor and this and that. So I able to come home, and it was a small problem. But anything with water, no matter how small it is, if it's free flowing, isn't a small problem.
Well,
right?
it's scary too.
Yep.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
So did you get it fixed?
I got it. All it was that little knob on the back of the toilet that turns off the water supply. That was leaking.
Oh,
Now, how
okay.
something that just sits there all of a sudden decided to start leaking?
Well, but remember where you live. A little bit of
is it the
this,
earthquakes?
a little bit of this,
It's
and it may not.
constant,
It could be.
Could be. But I've been so out of practice with home repair is I went to the store down the hill to get the replacement valve. And here I thought there's one valve. Oh no, it's top to bottom, side to side, every combination of every little size difference. And so he said, did you bring the other one? No. So back up which gets me to the minimum of the 2 trips to the home repair store for every home repair.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, but see, you could have actually used that as an opportunity when he said, "Did you bring the valve? What do you want me to do? Bring the ball cock back?" See, you could have had fun with that. You could have had fun with that and had a major thing. So, well, tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. We got somebody special that's going to be here in a few. But first, what are you smoking? What are you drinking? And we've got 5 people in the lounge, our barflies. Hello, everybody. Please say
hi.
Please say hello.
Well, I told you I have the official cigar of Drinks and Days. Are we going to be able to get this on the Metropolitan Host? It's not lit yet, though, because I got the deal. The cat is outside with me, and if I shut the door, then she'll want to go in. She doesn't like being out here with the door shut. So if she goes in, my wife will shut the door, and then I'll be able to light her up.
Oh, Rich is here.
Rich, good to see you, Rich.
Well, so in other words, what you're basically saying is your cat is bougie.
My cat is cigar blocking me. Is what's going on. What are you smoking?
I am smoking a 2012 Oscar Valladares barber pole, which is part of a San Andreas and part Candela, a barber pole. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really, really
That's
good.
got to take forever to wrap.
Yeah, I would imagine it does. And it's box press, which I am finding the more and more I smoke box press cigars, the more and more I like them.
Yes.
There's Amber. Hello, Amber. Welcome.
Amber's here.
And we've got Dreamweaver here, and I know that Tig Lily's here somewhere.
Do we call this guy Mr. Cool? Or can we go by his first names?
We'll just call him Mr. Cool. We'll call him Mr. Cool.
And I'm going to pour it. If you saw my Ardbeg tasting,
Yes.
This was my number 1. This was the travel exclusive Smoke Trails. So we're going to have a dram of this tonight for the show.
I'm doing in honor of our guest tonight.
Yeah,
I've been somewhat. Well, I'm calling it pre-show prep is what I'm calling it. But I've been pre-gaming, and I'm drinking gin and tonics with of course Bombay Sapphire.
Wait, that's not what you told me to buy.
No, I've got the Orbium down here, but I drink the Orbium straight.
Oh. So I've got Sapphire in the freezer, so I need to compare those two, huh?
Well, the Orbium's got a lot more of a botanical note, more so than the Sapphire. And I know there's another Sapphire that Chad likes that is even more botanical.
Oh.
No, it's not peach. And, we haven't seen him here, but I am happy. We've got 7 barflies. And hopefully, guys, don't forget to get your Drinks and Daves t-shirt and merch. You need to get that stuff.
Get the merch.
So what? Oh,
What?
oh,
Huh?
well, look who's here. Wait,
is that?
before you let him in the door,
Oh,
there
wait.
he
Oh,
is.
kick
Yeah,
him,
well, that's
kick,
okay.
get
Yeah,
out.
slam the door in his face. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. This gentleman is a retired major from the United States Air Force. Now, I say that for one reason only, because when you see his picture, you're going to look at me and you're going to say, "What in the hell?" But this man is a Renaissance man among Renaissance men. Let's just go over a quick list
Did you
before
just
we let
call
him in.
pretty?
Of course he's pretty. Of course he's pretty.
Right.
But purpley pretty too, on top of everything else. He's purpley pretty. But listen to the Renaissance that this man, he collects. He's got a collection of Gillette shaving items that would beat out any. In fact, Gillette called him and said, "Dude, we are so envious because you've got more of our crap than we have." So that's one. He collects reptiles, meaning snakes. He collects tarantulas. He's a purveyor of ghost hunting. Can you believe this? Ghost hunting. And then he also, and what we're probably going to talk a lot about tonight, is the master of heat. Give me a word with P. I was going to say the pompadour of pepperheads.
Just thinking it's not the kind of stuff you take antibiotics for. Not that
No,
kind of
absolutely
heat.
not.
Right,
so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and PB, thank you, welcome, Mr. KJ Spider Vazino. Yay!
Hey, KJ.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
We see what's in the glass. First is first.
I got gin and tonic.
Now, are you doing bougie? What kind of gin?
It's Gordon's.
Gordon, does that come by the gallon?
Yeah, in a plastic bottle, in a plastic bottle too. But who cares? It's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's perfectly good.
Hey, we've got somebody that agrees with what I said about KJ being pretty. Now, there may be a little bit of bias in that, but I don't know. It could be.
I've just got fans.
Oh, and he's a. Did I say he was a ghost? Did I say he was a ghost hunter? Did I say he was a ghost hunter? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dave, I'm going to let you steer the conversation and the questioning because I would probably go right to spiders and other stuff. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's not why he's a hot guest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're known for one, like Dave pointed out. One of the things you're known for is eating super hot stuff, and then making super hot stuff. So let's start with the eating thing because that's where the whole thing started, right? The making stuff is fairly new.
Yeah, it kind of just started with the garden. Bought a house that had a really big garden already established on it, and just deciding what to do with it, and decided to plant some peppers and some tomatoes and just see what we could get. Planted a few other things, but peppers seemed to be the thing that I was most interested in growing, and started off kind of small, but got some hot peppers, the ghost peppers, the Trinidad scorpions, tried to go Carolina Reapers, things like that. And it kind of made it a game on the forum to make videos of eating hot peppers and then challenge other people to also try to eat some hot peppers and kind of push their limits and things like that. And ended up going all the way. I think that year the hottest pepper that I had was the scorpion pepper. And I know when I got to that one, so I was kind of working up through, started off real small with like serranos and jalapenos, get up to the habaneros, and then the ghost peppers, and then the scorpion. And my tolerance was kind of building at that point. Or
numbing, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Killing off the taste buds.
Well, real quick, before you go on, KJ, for those people that are not pepperheads, explain, because you were going through ghost peppers and stuff like that. Now, obviously, there's something called a Scoville unit. So explain how these peppers are rated. And start off with the one that we all know when we get the nachos from Rico in the drive-in. Start with a jalapeno.
No, jalapeno's not the lowest because that's too hot for me. The green pepper is where you start.
So the peppers have a chemical in them called capsaicin, and that chemical mimics the effect on a pain receptor. It doesn't produce heat. It just tells your pain receptors that you are experiencing heat. So it's a false sensation, but your brain thinks it's real. And the rating that they use to measure the level of capsaicin in the peppers is the Scoville heat unit. So yeah, when you start off with a bell pepper, it has a Scoville heat unit of like 100.
It's 100, Dave. 100.
This is gonna be so much fun.
It's not a 1 to 100 scale. Like there's a long way to go. So 100 is very low.
Pretty good.
What is the highest right now?
The official highest, I think, is like just over 2 million.
That puts some tickle in your pants, doesn't it, Dave?
I think my pants would be off because I would be having problems.
Well, okay, so we have a feeling on how the units work. Now, also talk about the fact that there is a show, and I can't remember the name of it right now because I'm old, as it says, the old Dave.
Hot ones.
But the hot ones. Now, they do different things, but it's mostly chicken wings, I think. But we have done on the forum, we've done the Pocky One Chip. We've done the Demon Toe. I don't know what you explain that, KJ.
Yeah. Right. So when I went through all those challenges of trying to do the different peppers, obviously I got to a point where I ran out of peppers to eat, and kind of we maxed out on that challenge. So then we start going to the internet and see, well, what else is out there?
Wait. So you maxed out because you ate the hottest pepper that you could get. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? And that wasn't hot enough.
Well, yeah.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
You got to push your boundaries. See what you're capable of.
All right, go ahead.
So like the Pocky One Chip challenge is like a Dorito that has the hot pepper powder on it. And then there's a lot of the hot food challenges. They're like, oh, you know, in order to pass the challenge, you have to eat it and then not drink anything for like 10 minutes. Or there's a certain level of you just have to put up with it to survive the challenge. So we did the Pocky One Chip challenge, and they've made different versions of the Pocky One Chip. Like every year, they've kind of like one-upped or changed the formula of it. One time they made it blue, so it made your tongue blue. One time they put the spicy Sichuan pepper in it, which not only burned your tongue, it also produced this like tingling sensation. So it just kind of gave a different effect on it. But the Pockies were all kind of about the same heat level. And I don't know exactly where those stood on the Scoville unit. I think they were right around the 2 million still.
So let's pause for a moment to discuss to discuss the Pocky One Chip. Okay. There is a warning that I will say, and KJ's laughing already, because if you eat a Pocky One Chip while on keto and on an empty stomach, it does not end well. I completed it.
Why would you do that?
Because I was an idiot. More than anything else, but I finished it. I finished it. Almost had to go to the hospital, and but yeah, it was fun. But
that's a good time.
Here's the best part of this. We have some friends that were moving, and this was right around Christmas time for you guys that remember. And so we had planned that evening to go out to a Brazilian steakhouse. You know, the ones where you spend $40 and they come by with big shish kebabs full of meat, and they just hack off pieces of cow for you to eat. Well, I guess I should say that after I was going to do a shave with the Pocky One Chip on video. I couldn't do it. I had to lay down for about 3 or 4 hours. So then we went to dinner, and it was so bad because we were supposed to go to a Christmas festival. Well, I told them, I said, guys, I can't. I've got to go home. This is not good. Well, so they went home, and now 9 months later, because of that night, they had a baby. And that baby is, the nickname for that baby is Pocky.
All right. So I want to know, Spider, so you're talking about these chips that are 2 million units.
Yeah.
The ghost pepper, I think just because of the name, has a lot of cachet to it. Do you know how many Scoville units like a ghost pepper is?
Ghost pepper is kind of around 1 million. It's up there. Ghost pepper is like the first one in what they call super hots. So your jalapenos are about 5,000. Your habaneros, your Scotch bonnets, those are around 100,000. And then your ghost peppers are kind of in the 700,000 to 1 million Scovilles. And then your scorpions and your Carolina Reapers are the 2 million plus.
Now, is that I know that you and I have talked about it. Is there's this thing called Pepper X, or is there something that's on the horizon?
Yeah, so Pepper X, so Smokin' Ed Curry is the brainchild behind the Carolina Reaper. He grows peppers, does crosses, and he developed the Carolina Reaper, which is the current world record holder for the hottest pepper. But he's also doing all these mad scientist things behind the scenes, trying to create an even hotter pepper. But he has the world record, so he's not like putting anything out to beat himself. You know, he already has the record, so why put something else out there? He has put them out in special things just to make a sauce that's different, and Pepper X is one of those. And the show that we were talking about, the Hot Ones show, they work with him and his sauces, and so they do have their last dab, which is the hottest sauce that they have. They've had several different versions of the last dab over the years, either with scorpions or Carolina Reapers. One year they made it with the Pepper X, and then his latest thing is called the Apollo pepper, and that's kind of his hottest thing. But Pepper X and the Apollo, he hasn't rated them. Like, he hasn't put them out to get them actually tested. He knows they're hotter, but there's no official Scoville unit behind them because he has no reason to go out and prove that he's hotter than himself yet.
So what's this one that P-Beat's talking about, the Komodo dragon pepper at 2.2 million?
I haven't heard of the Komodo dragon pepper per se. There's one that's called a dragon's breath that I've heard that somebody else has produced, and I think they're from England. And that might be the same thing or a variation on the same thing. But I actually have a friend at work that's trying to grow dragon's breath this year. So if he's successful, then I'll get to try some of those out.
Wow. And, you know, that's a nice segue because you sent both of us in prep for the show. You sent us a package. Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about?
You might want to open those up and see what's in there.
Now, these are the packages. They have not been opened.
I am afraid. So obviously you enjoyed spicy foods though to go down this road in the first place. So did you grow up just with a lot of spice in your cooking?
I really didn't. I wasn't really a hot sauce person growing up. I would have salsa, but didn't really get into hot sauces. When I was in college, there was a restaurant that I went to that had different sauces or salsas, a salsa bar, and one of them had a pineapple habanero hot sauce, and that was really the first thing I ever had that had any level of burn to it, and I loved it.
Baby.
That was in Arizona, but it just kind of happened by accident.
Well, and I must say that I've sampled quite a number of KJ's hot sauces, and they're so good that you'll eat them on a chocolate chip cookie. They're that good. But look at what this is. Oh, this is Killer Spider. Now, Killer is Kilher. Now, that's also the name of his paranormal organization that he does, and it's Scary Spice. So, and did we both get the same one?
Yeah,
Scary
we've all
Spice.
three got it.
So, and we also got a Shaving Cadre What Would Spider Do wristband. So we'll put
I have to say, because of him liking spice, oftentimes my What Would Spider Do is not what I'm interested in at all. Actually.
So explain, because most of your stuff usually KJ has kind of like, you know, ghost or pineapple mango or whatever. So, that's nice. Is like wait a minute, hold on a minute.
Shit.
Gotta put
Your dog's gonna go nuts.
Oh, that's so. Tell us
Well,
what's
wait,
in this.
you're jumping the gun. We got to
Oh,
hear about KJ makes this
I
stuff,
know.
right?
That's what I'm saying.
So,
He's going to
but
tell
we
us
haven't
about it.
talked about that yet. Yeah. So
Okay.
tell us what's in it, but then also kind of like your process.
So it actually was because of the cadre that I made this hot sauce at all. I had an abundance of hot peppers that I was growing, and I was making some salsa, and then just like freezing the peppers or drying them out. But I wasn't really making anything with them per se. I was kind of growing them just to grow them and just to prove that I could and to get some hot stuff that I could try. And I put it out there that I was kind of interested in making a hot sauce, but I didn't really know how to do it, if there was a recipe to follow. And it was Tony, Opus X, on the forum that said, hey, if you want to do hot sauce, look into fermented hot sauce. And I'm like, well, that sounds kind of interesting. So I found a Facebook group called the Fermented Hot Sauce Society and started reading all of their articles that they had posted and all the instructions on how to do it. I'm like, well, this sounds pretty easy to do. Basically, you just take your peppers, your onions, your garlic, whatever you want to put in there, and you put them in a jar that's been sanitized, and then you fill it up with a brine. So it's a salt water that's in a ratio of 3.5% salt to water. And the salt acts as a barrier for the bad bacteria to grow. But it allows the good bacteria to grow, which is lactobacillus. And that's what actually ferments the vegetables. And it's naturally occurring on the outside of most things that you're growing in your garden. So you don't have to add anything to it. Just the natural bacteria that are on these things will cause them to ferment.
Will this be would this also be the same as the process that's used when they make kimchi? Very similar?
Very similar. And it's very similar to the process used in like home brewing. You still seal it in a jar and you put an airlock on top of it to keep all the oxygen out. You know, once it starts fermenting, it starts bubbling. You've got a little bit of headspace in your bottle, and that oxygen that's in there is going to be displaced by carbon dioxide as it ferments, and your airlock is going to get all that oxygen out to produce an environment that the bacteria, mold, things like that just can't function. And people will ferment it anywhere from a week to a couple of months up to several years. Tabasco hot sauce, they actually ferment theirs for 2 to 3 years before they bottle it.
So it's like a good scotch. It's aged.
Yeah. And
now let me ask you. Go ahead.
What
some of them
does
are barrel
the fermenting do? Does that mellow out the flavors? Or I mean,
it does. It can mellow the flavors. It also brings out what some people term as like a funky flavor. So instead of just being a straight pepper, you're getting different levels of flavors from the fermentation, and the length of time that you ferment it is going to bring out different flavors. And so these ones that I made, this Scary Spice. So this has a blend of. I didn't really measure anything out. I just kind of threw a bunch of stuff in there.
Yes. You just sent us this crap, Dave.
That's okay. I'll put it on a cookie.
I can pretty well recreate it, but I didn't measure anything out. But it's just a hodgepodge of probably 6 or 7 different kinds of peppers. It does have ghost pepper in it. It does have some Carolina Reaper, but it's also got some bell pepper and some milder ones in there to kind of have just a whole range of different pepper flavors. It's also got onions, garlic, shallots, and carrots, which carrot in a hot sauce is going to add a little bit of balance and sweetness to it. So it's not just in your face heat. There's a lot of flavor to it as well.
So I got a question for you. So if you were to pick, I mean, I know you haven't had it, but if you were to say what the average Scoville unit would be on this, could you even measure it at this point?
No, there's no really way to measure it.
Right,
big expensive process,
Right.
but
So
maybe 100,000. I don't know.
okay, so the difference, so basically, when you're talking about the fermenting, now obviously, when I was, and you, I don't know if you were stationed there, but I was stationed in Korea, and you had kimchi pots where they would take the cabbage, they would spice it, they'd put it in the pots, and they'd bury it. Now, I would assume that the fermentation process, because when you said funky, because, well, and I guess there should be a disclaimer, I am not allowed to have kimchi in the house. I can eat it on the patio, but I can't eat it in the house. But I love kimchi. I love kimchi, and it's good on everything. It's even good on cookies too. So that's the neat thing about it. But so now once the fermentation is done, and oh, and by the way, Dave, I saw what Pantea said about it. Sounds yummy. So this is going to be good.
We're having nachos tonight too. So
there you go. So when you're talking about this, so once everything is fermented, do you take the fluid that's in there and separate it from the veggies and all that other stuff and the peppers, or do you take it and do you blend it all together?
So initially, I do separate it, but I don't get rid of the brine. So the brine absorbs a lot of the capsaicin. So a lot of that heat is now in the brine and is kind of separated from the peppers themselves. So you definitely don't want to dump that out. I've got a Vitamix blender that just minces everything. So what I first do is I will strain out the brine. I'll put all my peppers in there. I'll add a little bit of brine back into it and blend it up until it's like super smooth. And then I keep adding the brine back into it to get it to the consistency that I want out of it. And then you have to pasteurize it, which is just putting it on the stove, bringing it up to, there's a set like temperature and time that you have to bring it up to pasteurize, which stops the fermentation process. So that's what kind of helps make it shelf stable so that it doesn't keep fermenting in the bottle. Because if it did, you would open it and it would explode when you opened it.
We had that happen with an A1 bottle, but that's another story. So I assume that the reason why you sent this to Dave and I was for a reason, I'm sure. And before we get to that, before we get to that, obviously on the, you guys can see that in the lounge, that there is a spider. So real quickly, as fast as you can, what is the fascination with the spiders? And I already know the answer, but for those people that don't know you, tell us about your spider thing as well.
Yeah, so I mean, as a kid, I was always scared of spiders. I was told that I got bit by a spider when I was really young and had an allergic reaction. So my entire life, I thought that I was allergic to spiders and allergic to spider bites. And when I moved out to Arizona, I found a tarantula crawling across the yard, and I thought it was really intriguing and interesting. And wasn't really scared of it. I was just like, wow, that's really cool. And at that point, I had already known about irrational fears in reptile keeping, because a lot of people are afraid of snakes. And then when I delved into, well, why are people afraid of snakes? They're mostly irrational fears, just because they were taught to be scared, not that they actually have a genuine reason to be afraid. You know, they've always been told stories about them, and oh, stay away from snakes, you never know. Like, so they're just, it's an irrational fear. And I realized that I had an irrational fear of spiders. I had no reason to be afraid of them. And then the more I researched, I found that probably whatever I got bit by or stung by was not a spider anyways. So very much irrational. And then I decided to research spiders and tarantulas specifically. And the more I did, the more I became interested, intrigued by them. I actually wanted to get a tarantula as a pet, which I eventually did. And then eventually got to the point where I had like 200 tarantulas in my house. And I'm down to like 5 now, but I used to have quite a bit. I used to breed them and make the babies, and then either trade them or sell them off to get different species and things like that. And because of my fascination with spiders and tarantulas, in the Air Force, I got the nickname and call sign of Spider-Man. which then just later just kind of got shortened to people just calling me Spider.
That's pretty cool. That is really, really cool. So,
yeah,
now
so
that we've put that off as much as we can.
No, wait, I can put it off even more, Dave, because I wanted to mention, I think this
because remember the package came with a spoon, Dave. You had to be expecting this.
Well, I didn't open it till just now, but I think this whole episode is just to make me do this. But so what I noticed though is that this does smell amazing. Like I'm used to like hot wings, the super hot ones smell like vinegar to me, and just like it's got this artificial hot wing sauce smell. This stuff, if you didn't know it was super hot, I wouldn't say that it was. I mean, there's so many layers of scent in here. It truly is. I mean, it's smoky. I get like mesquite and even I don't know. This is smells I've never smelled before.
But see here, Dave. See
you're going to ruin this for me, Dave.
No,
right?
no. The good part about this is you just did your video on Scotch tasting and stuff like that. So basically, you're going to savor this. You're going to savor this the same way. And I even brought out a very special spoon just for you. Very special spoon. Well, it's my mixer. I lost the spoon that he gave me. But so KJ, tell us what you would like us to do.
Yeah, I thought we would just take our spoons that I sent you guys and just load it up. Just take a spoonful each.
By loaded up, he means 2 drops?
No. If it's come on, Dave, you can do it.
So then explain this one to me. I've seen now because you've done the challenges on the cadre. I've seen unfortunate souls follow your lead and suffer. But maybe you can talk about you become used to eating super hot stuff. But people that aren't used to this, kind of what physically happens to them when they try to eat stuff that they just aren't ready for.
So again, it's a chemical reaction that tells your brain that you're in pain. You're not. It's just your brain thinks you are. So it's all mind over matter. So if you can just kind of like try to push those feelings to the back, then you can get through it. And it's all on how much you can tolerate to get past the different heat levels. And everyone's levels are different. So some people can put up with a lot more than other people.
Are you ready, Dave?
I don't have anything. Are you taking?
But did you see this though? I am extremely impressed. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, I'm ready whenever you guys are.
I got my spoon.
And KJPB did have a question. Are yours non-extract based hot sauces?
Yes, I do not like extracts in hot sauces. I've had a few, and they're just crazy. So mine are all natural. I'm not adding extra extract just to bump up.
Well, wait. Let's see what's in there, Dave. Come on. Let's see. Tilt the spoon.
There's more than a drop. I don't know that you can see it.
Oh, come on. Really?
There's 1.5 drops in there.
Okay, I'm ready.
At least 4.
3, 2, 1. Salud. Oh, that's good. Oh, is that good? That's delicious. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, wait. Okay, so since Dave's going to pass out here, the first hit that I get is the garlic, and it's almost got like a buttery garlic, and then it starts to ramp up a little bit, and then you get the sweetness of the carrot, and then it starts hitting the back of the throat, and it's warm. It's not hot. It's warm.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm totally fine.
Dave would beg to differ on that one.
That is beautiful.
So what's interesting, I mean, obviously everybody has their well, okay, let's say this. You're not built physically because you can learn to tolerate hot sauces, right?
Absolutely.
Which is super interesting because it's not like you're physically changing the makeup of your taste buds and things like that. So, yeah, I just kind of wonder what's up with it. Jaro,
you're doing well, Dave. I'm impressed.
So the heat I put it on the middle of my tongue because I hate it when your lips get numb and start throbbing and stuff.
You mean you didn't
So
swish it around in your mouth like a scotch?
I swallowed it. Just be happy with that.
Yeah, but 2 drops. Come on.
No, there was 4. To be fair.
To be fair.
But the hotness has expanded to the top palate now. But there was flavor before the burning started. Now, see, that's the thing. This was 4 drops. I could sit here and not be in tears and stuff. If you did like eat food or did the whole spoonful and stuff like that, you would be miserable.
No.
I would be. I would
okay.
be. Right?
It was wonderful. Just the bouquet, and it warms you up. I mean, literally, the comparison to me is, you know how a scotch warms you up from the chest
but
up?
it stops.
Yeah.
It stops.
Yeah, but see, that's what's good about this stuff is it doesn't need to stop.
It lingers.
It lingers.
I still have that warm feeling in my chest. Still.
Exactly. It's like a warm hug. It's like a pepper hug.
So, but here's the problem. My understanding is if you are used to hot, spicy food all the time, if you don't have super spicy food, you don't taste anything, right? You become dependent on it.
Okay, he's got a point there. He's got a point because obviously KJ used to live in Arizona. I live in Arizona, so we eat Mexican food and spicy food all the time. And I would venture to say that Panteja is also used to a different type of spice, but it's still somewhat spicy food. But you get to the point where you almost have to have it. Or at least I do. Because KJ knows I'm like a crack addict with his salsa. I was like, I need more.
Yeah, so I will say that the smokiness that you're tasting in this sauce is just from the ghost peppers, the reapers themselves. They already have a naturally smoky taste to them, and which is why I really like the taste of ghost peppers when they're added to something. Like if you're making a pot of chili, you can just take like half of a ghost pepper and put it in there, and it will season that whole pot. And it will give it that smokiness. I know, Dave, your favorite sauce that I've ever sent you was the Fire and Smoke one.
Yes. Which
is the exact same formula as this. It's just we smoked the peppers on the smoker before we made it. So the smoke in that one is amped up a lot because of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited because as soon as we're done with our show, we're having guacamole tacos and or tostadas, and this bottle will be very little after we're done. So, how you doing, Dave?
It keeps moving forward. My lips, it didn't touch my lips, and they're starting to tingle now. And the entire palate on up to behind my teeth is now on fire.
Go get a corn chip. Get a tortilla chip. That'll.
I can't move.
Have the cat go get you one.
You know, and I know water doesn't help, but as long as it's in your mouth, you have that cooling.
Milk, cream, heavy cream is the best. KJ taught me that after the one chip challenge.
Heavy cream has been the thing that helps me the most. And I wouldn't have discovered it had I not done like keto and using that as like a fat bomb for keto. But I did. So we didn't talk about this. One of the challenges that I've done. There's the Death Nut Challenge, which is peanuts that have been dusted in various levels of heat, and I think the top death nut is like 9 million Scovilles. And I did it one time just for fun, just to see if I could do it. And then I did it again because there was a bar that was having a competition that you could win money for. So I went there, and knowing the just absolute pain that it puts in your stomach when you're eating something that's that hot, I pre-gamed by downing a bunch of heavy whipping cream to get that in my stomach first, which coats everything, and it actually does help a lot. I don't know if it's the lactic acid or the caseins that are in the dairy products or what, but they do coat your tongue and everything, and it can help with the heat. It's a like, so if you were to go drink a drink of milk right now, you would have instantaneous relief.
Yeah.
But as soon as you swallowed the milk, like, it would start to come back. It's not like it just a cure-all right away.
You know, and that's what's crazy, though, is you do these challenges and you have to wait 10 minutes or whatever. Okay, you win, but your body is dealing with that for hours afterwards.
Yeah, sometimes. When I first had the scorpion pepper the first time, I did that one on video, and it's on my YouTube channel, Spider Eats the Heat. That was the hottest thing I had had up to that point, and I didn't know what to expect at all. And like, it created such an endorphin rush in my body. I was sitting at the table eating the pepper, just trying to go through the 10 minutes without eating or drinking anything. And it got to the point that I just had to get up. I was feeling so amped from the endorphins that I just needed to get up, walk around. I was pacing, and it was just this weird feeling of, I need to move. I just need to do something. I can't sit here and be like this. The problem was, like, a few hours later, when it starts sitting in my stomach, like, I was actually getting like stomach cramps and pain from that. And I did it at the end of the day after I'd already eaten dinner. Didn't really think anything of it. I got the stomach cramps and everything that lasted 10, 15 minutes, and then it kind of went away. Well, I woke up the next morning, and because I was pretty much sleeping in one spot, and that peppers was sitting in my stomach in one spot, like, I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I woke up with so much pain in my stomach from eating that one pepper. I thought maybe I'd burned a hole in my stomach or something.
Right.
And so I immediately went and, like, downed some milk or some cream or something and got everything moving around again. And then it was fine. But yeah, like, intense pain in my stomach from eating those super hot peppers. And there was a question on the gummy bears.
Yes.
And asked if I had eaten the gummy bears. I have not had the gummy bear. I did have the toe of Satan, which was a 9 million Scoville unit sucker that was cinnamon.
It was 9 million
flavored with the addition of the capsaicin to bring it up to 9 million. And you just had to endure that for a few minutes with it in your mouth the entire time without, like, ever taking it out. You had to just keep it in contact with your mouth. And that one wasn't fun. I'm not really a big fan of cinnamon, so I did it just to do it, but wasn't really a big fan of that one. But that one I think is very similar to the gummy bears.
Well, let me ask you both. When you're eating something that's, so not like a pepper like that, but you put this hot sauce on your food, well, you're obviously getting some heat because you enjoy the heat, but, like, do your lips get numb and tingle and all that stuff, or you just taste the stuff and it's like a little spice and then it just goes away?
When I'm eating the hot stuff like this, yeah. I still get the tingle. That's part of the experience. Like, it's not like overpowering, but yeah, I enjoy the tingle.
But the thing is also, once you start getting to a certain level, is you start noticing that, you know, your standard store-bought salsa or whatever you get just isn't enough, and you go and you have to grab some of this. So,
well, like I told you guys, I've moved up from mild salsa to medium, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but just look at the step. Look at the step that you took today. You took a huge step today.
Yeah. Here's a question. What is barbecued shrimp crazy hot with just cayenne, black, and crushed red pepper? Why is that? It sounds like it tastes hotter than the individual peppers themselves, is what he's saying.
Maybe the crushed red pepper flakes. I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned. I think certain people have different heat level profiles, and what I mean by that is that sometimes Sharon and I'll have a Mexican meal, and something in the sauce that came with hits me hard, but yet I can take a spoonful of wasabi and be fine with it. So I think it depends on what the spice is as how it affects you.
Well, that is true because each pepper, just because one pepper is hotter than another doesn't mean that it's going to hit you the same way, just be hotter. The makeup of them is all different. So some peppers will like basically hit your lips and hit the front of your tongue and the front of your mouth. And some you eat them and swallow them, and then like the only thing you feel is in the back of the tongue and the back of your throat. So some peppers hit your mouth in different areas than others. Some of them like come on strong and then slowly die off. And some of them like ramp up. Some of them you're like, oh, I ate that pepper and I didn't notice anything. You swallow it and you're talking, and all of a sudden 30 seconds later, whoa, now it just hit. So each pepper is different, which is why like blending hot sauces can be an art. To mix the different levels. Not that I have done anything special. I just threw a bunch of stuff together here. So it's not like I did anything on purpose that way. But having the different types of peppers in there to give you those different levels to kind of even it out it can be an art form.
Well, and I also think that one thing that we haven't mentioned is the one thing about hot sauce in general is you were mentioning that it hits the lips, it hits the tongue, hits the teeth, you get numb. But the one thing about hot sauce, depending on your level, is it's also the type of heat and pain that keeps on giving. And what I mean by that is, you know, hours later when you decide to evacuate, things can be just as hot as when you first entered them.
Yeah, sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun.
That's when owning a bidet is very, very beneficial.
So this is funny. Tig Lily mentioned, you know, addicts can explain why. I was kind of like, why would you keep eating this stuff that's making you numb and all that? But it was interesting when KJ was explaining that it's hitting pain receptors and making you feel like pain. That's just, it's crazy to think about your body working that way, because that's exactly the opposite, right, of like pain control medications. But for some reason, you yahoos are wanting to trigger those things, which, you know, maybe that's not bad. Maybe when you're actually in pain, you just stop eating hot sauce and take away that stimulation and be all right.
So how you feeling now, Dave?
It's not bad now. Now it's just there's a little still warmth at the top of my palate. See, that's the thing is also like I wouldn't want to walk away just feeling the inside of my mouth all the time after a meal, but I will, because KJ sent me this and went through all this. I will put some on my eggs this weekend. I will see whether it's like mixed in, kind of diluted down, because the split second of flavor before the heat, like you were saying, the smokiness and all that stuff, that's good. I want a sauce that has all that. You sent me one called Cherry Bomb, I think.
Oh, that was delicious.
That wasn't spicy at all. That stuff is good.
So that one was made with just a pepper that was called a Cherry Bomb pepper, which I think when you eat one raw, it tastes like a spicy bell pepper. It was a very fleshy pepper. They're small and round. It was kind of like twice the size of like a cherry tomato. And very fleshy, thick-walled fruit, very sweet, but also had like initially you bite into it, you just taste the sweetness of a bell pepper, and then a little bit of heat kicked in. Not quite, I'd say maybe half of the heat level of like a jalapeno. So that I thought was the perfect pepper to do just a basic, easygoing, introductory level sauce. And that one was made with just those peppers and some garlic.
That was awesome. So you said that you started with some basic peppers. So to get like ghost peppers and stuff like that, can you just order those seeds online? Is it easy to get?
Yeah, there's lots of places now that you can just go and order. The place that I ordered from recently, he probably has like over 200 different types of peppers that you can buy. Wow. There was like people are producing and crossbreeding and making all sorts of different things that are crazy looking. We planted 20 some different peppers last year. just to kind of see what we could grow, how they would turn out. Some of them were more decorative. There was one called a Dracula pepper. The plant itself had black to purplish to black leaves.
That's cool.
And then when the peppers grew in, they were black, but then when they ripened, they turned this just blood red color. So they called it a Dracula pepper just because it's all like dark and gothic. And they weren't great peppers taste wise, but it was just kind of a fun plant to grow. But there's other ones that people are growing for the taste. There's some of them that they're kind of growing out these fruity profiles. They've got heat, but they're peachy or they're lemony and all these different flavors that they're trying to get out of some of these peppers.
Here's a good question from PB, KJ. What do you think about hot sauce desserts?
I think that hot sauces can go very well with desserts. The balance of sweet and spicy can kind of go hand in hand. I haven't really had too much in that area, but like I can see getting some spicy ice cream being really, really good.
Yeah. So what's in the? I mean, I've heard across the board. You just send this stuff to mostly. Well, I don't know. I'm guessing cadre people, but just friends and family type of a thing, and everybody that I've heard comment on it loves this stuff. So I have two questions about that. One is, you can go into a store that specializes in odd stuff sometimes, and they'll have a huge selection of hot sauces. Are all of those like what you're doing, where you're letting them kind of sit and ferment, or are they more like that hot sauce you put on the wings where they're going to be half vinegar?
It's a balance. So the fermentation process brings the pH down, and you need a low pH for it to be shelf stable. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it needs to be at least below a pH of 4 to be shelf stable, and it might be. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere around 3.5 or 4, I think, to be shelf stable. Now, the other way you can have a low pH sauce is to use vinegar. So you can make a fresh sauce by just taking your peppers and blending them up and then adding vinegar to it. And a lot of your commercial sauces are made that way because it's much quicker and easier to just blend it up and add vinegar to it than to actually go through the process of fermenting it. But I think out there's a good mix of vinegar-based sauces and the fermented sauces. But I also add a little bit of vinegar to mine just because I do like the taste of vinegar. They're not as vinegary as some of your commercial sauces, but I do add a little bit of vinegar into mine.
Yeah. Have you heard of this one Jaro's asking about?
Respiro del Diavolo.
Nope, I've never heard of that one.
So my other question about everybody loving your hot sauces is, do you want to do more? Because I think people would pay for them, the ones that have had them, but obviously you would have to spend a lot more time and energy in production if you ever went that route.
Right. So it depends on what state you're in and what the laws are for producing food. In Missouri, where I'm from, if you're making it in your home kitchen, it's actually illegal to sell sauces, salsas, fermented, pickled, anything like that. You can't legally sell at like a farmer's market. Just because if you do it wrong and the bacteria is growing in there, you can really harm somebody if you don't know what you're doing. So I can't even take this to a farmer's market and sell it if I wanted to. I can.
Dave, do you think he knows what he's doing?
I was just going to say what that translates to, ladies and gentlemen, is he's got a clipboard with our names on it, and he'll go, well, okay, he made it through that one. Alive. He made it through that one. I think we're good to go. Oops, that one went bad. Okay, let's throw that bottle away.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've got my test audience here.
Well, it is fascinating, and knowing you, KJ, as long as I have, that's the one thing I appreciate about the fact that you don't do anything half-assed. I mean, you research the bejesus out of everything. And let's do a quick segue into your latest thing that I know that you're starting to get ramped up on, and that's bees.
Oh yeah. So I kind of just been intrigued by bees for a while, mainly just being into spiders and bugs and different things like that. I always saw beekeeping out there as something that was kind of interesting that I might like to get into. I might learn a little bit about it. Like sometimes you think about people going up to a beehive and opening it up and having bees everywhere. You're like, well, how is that even possible without them getting stung 100 times? And that intrigued me. And it was one of those things was just always in the back of my mind, never really thought about it, never put any energy towards actually learning about it or reading about it. And then I was on Facebook, and one of my friends that I went to college with, I discovered that he is keeping bees. And that just kind of like started me being a little bit more interested. And I asked him some questions, and he's a veteran like me. And he said, hey, if you're interested in learning about bees, there's a couple of programs that are out there for veterans where you can learn about beekeeping for free. It's these courses that you can take that they offer for vets. And one of them is called Heroes to Hives. And so I went to the website. You can register for it in the fall. And then it's a 9-month-long course where they send you videos every month for you to watch and learn. And there's some interactive stuff where they'll do Zoom calls. You can ask Q&A with the people that started the program. And everybody in it is a vet. So we kind of all have a common background and kind of understand each other a little bit more than just your random people that might go to a course locally. And there's the bond and the camaraderie of being with other vets and things like that too. So it was really created because they discovered that there is a peacefulness to beekeeping, and getting in and working with the bees actually has a calming effect, which seems completely backwards because you think of opening the chaos of a hive is going to be stressful.
Sure.
But my first time being around an open hive, I was surprised at how, they were flying around, but it's not like they were like pinging at me, trying to sting me. And the hum of them flying around and like kind of the vibration, I did find it to be very calming. And what this whole program was started because they found that a lot of vets were coming back from war and had PTSD, and they found that beekeeping is really what helped them out, and they were able to alleviate their PTSD symptoms without medications. And
Wow.
once they got into beekeeping, they found that they were able to get off a lot of the meds that they had, and that was enough to kind of calm them down and center them and bring them back to a somewhat of a normal life that they couldn't experience before. And I thought that was fascinating. And so the more I learned about it, the more interested I became. And I'm in the middle of that Heroes to Hives course right now. And at the end, they'll give you a test. If you want to take it, you can just take the information and not do anything with it. You can just basically take the course and audit it. Or if you want to, you can take a test at the end. And if you pass the test, then you can use that to go further and take master beekeeping classes and kind of get yourself past some of the prerequisites to go into the master beekeeping class.
And then, so once you do that, I mean, do you have to be licensed to be a beekeeper, or can you just go out and get hives and bees and start it from there?
Yeah, there's no certifications or licenses or anything. And again, it probably varies state to state. I know some states, if you're going to keep bees, you have to at least register your bees and your bee yard so that they know who has them, where they're at. But in Missouri, there's nothing. Like you
it's
can
a
just
pain
go
in the
buy.
ass to put the license plates on the bees, though. I can tell you that. Tig Lily says, is your program only open to vets?
The Heroes to Hives it's only, you have to be a veteran to enroll, or you a dependent.
Can it be?
Of
I was going to say, so you can have somebody who is a vet, and if your spouse is not a vet, that would qualify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I mean, you got spiders and scorpions, and you need more shit to sting you, Dave.
No, well, and that would, it's funny, yeah, because Arizona's always about what sticks, stings, or bites. So now, how do they determine? Because and this may be myth too, is how do they determine? Because obviously out here, the Africanized bees are a big problem. I mean, they've pretty much become the dominant bee out here. So do they separate that out? Because I know that obviously the Africanized bees can be much more aggressive than, I guess, your standard honeybee. I mean, that's my knowledge of it.
Right. So the honeybee is Aphis mellifera, the scientific name for the common honeybee. Actually, the European honeybee is what it is. But within that, there's different breeds. Just like all dogs are the same species, but you got different breeds. And the same thing with honeybees. There's, I think, up to like 8 or 9 different breeds of bees, and each one is kind of adapted to where it's commonly kept. In the United States, I think there's probably 4 or 5 different species that are commonly kept. And the problem is it's really hard to keep your bees purebred and be that one breed, because when a new queen is hatched, she goes off and mates with males that are not from her hive, not from her colony. So who knows what the breed is of the males that she's mating with, and she'll mate with up to 15 different males over the course of a week or two, and come back, and all of the sperm that she has stored up from those matings is how she fertilizes her eggs for the rest of her life. And so whatever genetic mix she gets, so she's half breeding all these different offspring from whatever she mated with out there. So just because you buy a Carolinian or Italian breed of bee doesn't mean that that's what your hive is going to be as it goes forward.
So with that, so with that being said, so with the Africanized bees, so that's one of the ways that they propagate and keep getting more and more. Because you and I and Dave are of a certain age that the whole Africanized honeybee thing, that was a big scare.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge scare that, these bees are going to come up and kill everybody. But here in Arizona, every year we have people that die because they're attacked, and usually it's because they come across a monstrous hive and stuff like that. But are those bees still honeybees, right? For the most part.
They are. They're honeybees, and there's video out there of beekeepers working Africanized honeybees, like in Africa, and like people keep them. They are good honey producers. They're just stupid aggressive.
Right.
And now, you really need to suit up to deal with those.
Now, with that being the case, do the different breeds of the bees, and I know a lot of it is based on the environment that you're bringing the bees up in, that's going to affect the flavor of the honey too, correct?
I don't think the bees themselves and what type of bee has any effect on what the honey tastes like. What the honey tastes like, that's going to be a factor of what flowers are in your area. And so everybody's local honey is going to taste a little bit different depending on what the bees are feeding on.
Yeah. Now, here's a question. Let me ask you, because as soon as you brought up you were interested in honey, everybody said you got to make spicy hot honey. Is that in the plans?
Yeah, that's something I've purchased a thing of hot honey, and I've talked with one of the local beekeepers in our county. We've got a Johnson County Beekeepers Association, and we have monthly meetings for beekeepers, and he has produced hot honey, and I've talked to him about how he does it. And really it's just a matter of taking some of the hot peppers and drying them out, grinding them up into a fine powder, and then just adding the right amount into the honey.
But here's another way, Dave. And so you've got some honey in the house. I know you do. So you got a spoon, put a little bit of honey on it, take some of this, dip it on,
That's
and you got
idea, Dave.
You got hot honey, baby. Hot honey.
Hot honey.
So Tigglily's got a question, and I'm not sure if you know. How does American honey compare to Manuka honey as far as the medicinal properties and stuff? Do you know?
I don't know exactly what the Manuka honey is or what it's got in it, but everybody swears by local honey. So especially people with like allergies, they think that the nature of ingesting honey that's been produced by the bees, that has some of the pollens and the nectars from the native flowers, some people swear by it and say that if they just do like a teaspoon of honey a day, it's kind of like a vaccine almost. Like by ingesting small amounts of it, then it allows their body to kind of produce the antibodies to fight off the more serious effects of seasonal allergies and things like that.
Well, it makes sense. It actually does make sense when you think about it.
And it's a natural antiseptic, so it's used for like wound dressing.
Disclaimer: Drinks and Daves does not promote you putting honey in your wounds. Go ahead, KJ. What else shouldn't they do? I've seen Rambo do something like that, I think.
Yeah, I know that they've said that if you're out in the field and you get stung, once you remove the stinger, to just get a little dab of honey and put it right on there, and it helps it heals it up faster, keeps it from getting infected.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So let's open things, and real quick while we're if any of you guys have any questions for KJ on anything we've talked about tonight, please let us know. But real quick, with something we haven't done recently, I want to thank everybody that's been here. So I'm going to just go through this real quick. Major Rich, Dennis Cool, Amber, Dreamweaver, P Beat, Tig Lily, Jaro. So we want to thank you guys for being here. We certainly appreciate it. And again, I'll say, as everybody here knows, our broadcasts are on Nurse Dave's Shaving World as well as Barber Dave Shaves and such. But we do want to move these to the Drinks and Daves. So please, please, please tell anybody that you know that's on YouTube to come and subscribe to our channel. Yeah. And then we can start doing our shows.
Or if you're watching this on replay on one of our channels, come over to the other channel.
Exactly.
Hit the subscribe button.
We've got some guests in the pipeline that we're really excited about, and so real quick, if anybody's got any questions for KJ before we call it a night.
Oh, wait, I do. KJ, turn to the side, show off that.
You got to show off.
They have take a look at that.
Now, is that blue or purple?
It's purple right now.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing we forgot of. So, KJ is not at a stage. He is in a disclosed location for his job, but we understand that you can share that with us now.
I was wondering if Nurse Dave might be able to guess where I am based on what I'm drinking now.
Ooh.
Cool. Well, that sounds like beer. I would have no idea.
I didn't know if...
Are you close? Are you close?
I didn't know if maybe you had tried this beer when you were in Iceland.
Oh, no. Very nice.
Dude, wow. That's a pretty cool place to get sent.
Yeah. So it was funny because I knew I was coming out here and was starting to research the area and different things to do here. And then all of a sudden in my Facebook feed, I saw pictures of Iceland. I'm like, what? I'm like, are they data mining me? Like, what? Why is this popping up in my feed?
It was Dave's vacation.
And then I discovered that you were in Iceland. I'm like, that's funny because I'm going to be there in like 2 weeks.
Wow, that's awesome.
Is this the first time they've sent you there?
It's the second time they've sent our group. It's the first time that I've been here. So we were here 2 years ago, and this is for the B2 deployments, the Bomber Task Force missions. So we're out here for a few weeks.
Cool. So are you getting enough free time to be able to go and chat? Are you, because you're in the Reykjavik area, I assume.
Yeah, I'm staying in Reykjavik. We're kind of split up. Some of us are staying in Reykjavik. Some of us are staying in Keflavik.
Right.
In a few days, I think they're waiting for some of the rooms on the Icelandic Coast Guard base to open up, because I think that right now there's a complement of Germans that are staying there. And once they leave, then they're going to open up for a lot of our Air Force members to move in there. But being a contractor here, we book our own room. So I'm staying at that hotel in Reykjavik.
So are you getting some free time now to go and see some things?
Yeah, I've had a couple of days off so far. We went and saw one of the waterfalls and one of the natural geyser areas, which was pretty cool. So I've got some pictures and stuff I can share on the forum now that we're able to talk about it. But Public Affairs just the first official announcement this morning.
So PB has a question. Do you see a day, in your opinion, where you think extreme hot sauces will be included as a table condiment like you see with Tabasco and like you see with Cholula and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely getting there. They're becoming much more popular and more common. Cholula is a great sauce. I love the taste of Cholula. That's one, like, to me, Tabasco is garbage sauce. It's straight up vinegar. It's just heat and really, to me, not much flavor. I think Cholula, even though it's not quite as hot as Tabasco, has a really nice balance of flavor, and that's a great table sauce. But yeah, I think as some of the hotter sauces become more popular, more well known, I think we're going to start seeing. And one of them is El Yucatan, I think is the name. There's a lot of Mexican restaurants will have the Yucatan sauces on the tables, and those are a bit hotter. So I think it will become more common to have these hotter sauces be in the restaurants.
Oh, there's a good one, Tapatio. I like that too.
Tapatio. Yeah, that one's similar to Cholula. They're kind of in that same category.
And Cholula, it's funny when you're talking about Cholula, they've got a pretty wide breadth of different sauces they have. It's not just the red. They've got a pineapple mango. Yeah. They've got a little bit of everything now.
And that's one thing that, like, a lot of those sauce makers are now seeing that there's other things that they can do. Like, they've made Tabasco for years and years and years, hundreds of years probably, and it wasn't until recently that they started making a green sauce. And that was something. Well, now Tabasco has like a full range of different. They've got a scorpion pepper sauce. I think they've got a ghost pepper sauce. The one that I really like, the only Tabasco sauce that I really, really enjoy is their chipotle.
Yeah, the smoked chipotle one, right?
Really good.
But what's funny though with Tabasco, I think that there's still a linear flavor of vinegar above anything else. In other words, it doesn't, even though this has got more heat, you can pick out the different flavor notes with this or with Cholula or Tapatio, where you can't with, when you have Tabasco, it's Tabasco.
Right.
And that's the only thing that.
Yeah. So let me just say,
Cholula has a chipotle sauce also, but I actually think I like Tabasco's chipotle sauce better than that one.
Well, that's next. You need to make a chipotle.
Well, that's kind of what my smoky one was, because all chipotle is a smoked jalapeno.
Oh yeah, that's an awfully fancy name.
When you smoke when you smoke a jalapeno, you now have a chipotle pepper. That's what that's made out of. So that's all it is a smokier sauce. So the other version of this sauce, which I call Smoke and Fire, that one kind of is a chipotle style sauce.
Cool. All right. Well, it's about time we wrap it up. I put the banner on the bottom with our email address again, because we have a potential another super cool guest for next week. If not, it'll just be probably Dave and I just yapping back and forth. But I want to thank PB. He's emailed a few times with some ideas for us to talk about. Haven't forgotten about you, PB. But just a reminder, if you're like KJ, you got some interesting hobby, you do your hair in some crazy way, you just have something you want Dave and I to talk about, shoot us an email and make a suggestion.
Yeah, so, we want to thank everybody, our barflies. Don't forget your drinks and Dave's merchandise. Make sure you come and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, next week, 6 p.m. Pacific. And first and foremost, KJ, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We know that it's very late or early there.
Yeah,
and
it's 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. So we appreciate that. I think everybody enjoyed it. And I think we'll see everybody next week. Hope everybody has a great evening.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, KJ.
Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.